So there I am, sitting in my kitchen at 2:47 in the afternoon, and I hear my 10-year-old daughter screaming from upstairs. Not like Isosaw Spider screaming. I'm talking full-on horror movie screaming. I drop everything and sprint up those stairs, and what do I see? The HOA president, a 50-something woman named Patricia, halfway through my daughter's bedroom window. Her top half is already inside, legs dangling outside, and my kid has her finger on our security alarm panic button. Patricia's screaming wait, W-A-I-T, wait, but it's too late. That alarm is wailing, and I've got about 3 minutes before the cops show up to my house, where the HOA Karen is literally breaking. But before I tell you how this absolutely insane situation went down, do me a solid, smash that like button, because this story gets wild. And the algorithm needs to know that HOA horror stories are what the people want. And subscribe, because trust me, if this happened to me, I've got more stories where this came from. All right, let's get into how a power-tripping HOA president ended up committing a literal crime in broad daylight. So let me set the scene. This is happening in a subdivision in suburban Ohio, one of those cookie-cutter neighborhoods where every house looks exactly the same, and the HOA acts like they're running a military installation instead of a community with families just trying to live their lives. Man, Patricia, oh man, Patricia. This woman became HOA president about 2 years ago, and it immediately went to her head. I'm talking drunk con power, lives forth a drama type. She's the kind of person who measures your grass with a ruler and sends violation notices if it's a 1/4 inch too long. She's sent me 17, count M, 17 violation notices in the past year alone. Everything from my trash cans being visible from the street for 20 minutes after pickup, to my son's basketball hoop being not regulation HOA approved white. But here's where it all started, going off the rails. 2 weeks before the window incident, I painted my front door. Now, the HOA rules say you can paint your door any color from their approved list. I chose a blue-gray color that was literally shown in the example photos in the HOA handbook. It was approved. It was documented. But Patricia decided that my specific shade of blue-gray was too blue and not gray enough. She sent me a violation notice, demanding I repaint it within 7 days or face a $500 fine. But here's the thing. I wasn't backing down this time. Why? Because the HOA documents clearly stated this color was allowed, and I was sick of her making up rules as she went along. So what does she do next? Well, that's where things get absolutely 3 days after I refused to repaint my door, Patricia shows up at my house, unannounced, at 8:30 in the morning. I'm still in my pajamas, haven't had my coffee yet, and this woman is ringing my doorbell like she's trying to break the button. I open the door, and before I can even say good morning, she shoves a folder in my face. "This is your official second violation notice," she says, not even bothering with pleasantries. "You have 4 days to repaint that door, or the fine increases to $750. I'm standing there, still half asleep, and I'm like, "Patricia, we've been over this. The color is approved. It's in the handbook. I'm not repainting anything." She gets this look on her face. You know the look. That Karen look where they're about to ask for the manager. Except she is the manager. "The handbook is outdated," she says. "The board voted to remove that color when I asked because I never got notice of any board meeting or vote. We don't have to notify residents of every little rule change." She snaps back, and here's where I probably should have kept my mouth shut. But I didn't. I said, "Actually, according to Ohio HOA law, you absolutely do have to notify residents of rule changes. So either you're lying about the vote, or you violated state law. Which one is it, Patricia?" Her face turned so red, y'all, like a tomato that's about to explode. She gets right up in my space, finger pointed at my chest, and says, "You think you're clever. You think you can just do whatever you want. I will make your life hell in this neighborhood. Get off my property, I told her, and slammed the door in her face. I thought that was going to be the end of it. I thought she'd go home, cool off, maybe realize she was being ridiculous. I was so wrong about what was coming next. The next day, I wake up to find a huge notice on my front door. Like this thing was printed on neon orange paper, probably 11 by 17 inches, taped right across my door frame. It said, "Notice of emergency. HOA violation. This property is in violation of community standards. Homeowner has 48 hours to remedy or face immediate. Legal action and daily fines of $250. My neighbors could see this. My kids were embarrassed. People were slowing down their cars to read it as they drove by. But here's the kicker. She didn't stop there. Over the next week, Patricia went on an absolute rampage. She filed complaints with the city about my non-compliant fence, which had been there for 8 years, with no issues. She reported my car for being illegally parked in my own driveway, because it was supposedly over the property line by 3 inches. She even called the city's code enforcement, claiming I was running an illegal business out of my home, because I work from home and sometimes clients mail me documents. Every single complaint was investigated and dismissed as frivolous. But it didn't matter to Patricia. She was on a mission. The stakes here weren't just about the money anymore. Though the fines, she was threatening, would have totaled over $3,000. It was about the principle. This woman thought she could bully me out of my own home, make my life so miserable that I'd either cave to her demands or be forced to sell and leave. My wife was stressed. My kids were asking why the mean lady was being so awful to us. I was losing sleep, spending hours researching HOA law and our rights. And I'll be honest, I was starting to wonder if it was even worth the fight. But then Patricia made the mistake that would end her HOA reign of terror forever. And trust me, you're not gonna believe what she did next. Quick pause. If you're enjoying this story, hit that subscribe button because I'm just getting started. And drop a comment telling me about your worst HOA experience, because I know I'm not alone in this nightmare. All right, back to Patricia's complete meltdown. After all of Patricia's harassment, I decided I needed to go on the offensive. I wasn't going to sit around and wait for the next crazy thing she'd do, so I started doing my homework. First thing I did was file a Freedom of Information Act request with the county to get copies of all HOA board meeting minutes for the past 2 years. And guess what I found? There was no node vote to change the approved door colors. None. Zilch. Patricia had completely made it up, but it gets better. Way better. While I'm going through these meeting minutes, I start noticing some weird financial stuff. The HOA dues are $150 a month per household, right? There are 47 houses in our neighborhood. That's over $84,000 a year coming in. But when I look at the expenses, they're not adding up. The landscaping contract is $18,000 a year. Pool maintenance is $12,000. Insurance is $8,000. Even being generous with miscellaneous expenses, we should have had about $35,000 in reserves. According to the financial documents, we had $3,200 in the bank. Where did over $30,000 go? So now I'm really digging. I start talking to other neighbors, the ones who've also been on Patricia's bad side. Turns out I'm not the only one she's been targeting. There's Mike 3 houses down, who got fined $1,500 for putting up a shed that was 2 feet too large. There's Jennifer across the street, who got hit with violations because her kids' toys were visible in the yard. There's Tom and Linda, who got threatened with legal action because their mailbox was the wrong shade of black. But here's what I noticed. The people who Patricia left alone, they were her friends. They could have weeds 3 feet tall, cars on blocks, Christmas decorations, up until March. Nothing, no violations, no fines, no harassment. This wasn't about rules. This was about power and control, and I was starting to suspect about money. I reached out to a real estate attorney who specializes in HOA disputes, showed him everything I'd found. His eyes got real wide, and he told me, if what you're suggesting is true, this could be embezzlement. You need to document everything. So that's what I did. I set up security cameras around my property, front door, back door, driveway, and yes, even pointing at my illegal blue-gray door. I started keeping a detailed log of every interaction with Patricia. I joined forces with Mike, Jennifer, Tom, and Linda. We created a group chat. We called ourselves the Patricia Problems Committee, and we waited to see what Patricia would do next. We didn't have to wait long, and what happened was more insane than anything I could have imagined. It's a Tuesday afternoon, about a week after I installed the cameras. My wife's at work, my son's at soccer practice. My daughter Emma, who's 10, is home sick from school. Just a minor cold, nothing serious. She's upstairs in her room, playing on her tablet. I'm downstairs in the kitchen, making her some soup, when I get a notification on my phone from my security system. Motion detected, east side of house. I pull up the app, and I see Patricia. She's walking around the side of my house, looking up at the windows. She's got her phone out, taking pictures. I'm watching this on my phone, and I'm thinking, okay, that's weird, but maybe she's documenting another bogus violation. But then she does something that makes my blood run cold. She stops at Emma's window, which is on the first floor. We have a split-level house, so what's technically the second floor is only about 6 feet off the ground. She looks around to make sure nobody's watching. Then she grabs the window frame and starts pushing up. Now, here's the thing. Emma's window was unlocked. She'd opened it earlier that morning because she said her room was stuffy. I'd been planning to close it, but got busy with making lunch and forgot. The window slides right open, and Patricia starts climbing in. I'm frozen for about 2 seconds, watching this on my phone, my brain trying to process what I'm seeing. Then I hear Emma scream from upstairs. I drop my phone and run. I'm taking those stairs 3 at a time, and I'm yelling, "Emma, I'm coming." I burst into her room, and there's Patricia, halfway through the window. Her top half is inside Emma's room. She's got her hands on the windowsill, trying to pull herself through, and Emma is pressed against the far wall, eyes wide, holding her tablet like it's a weapon. "What the hell are you doing?" I'm shouting. Patricia sees me and has the audacity, the absolute audacity, to say, "I'm conducting an HOA inspection. You've been refusing entry, so I'm exercising my right to get out of my house," I roar. Emma hit the panic button. Emma doesn't hesitate. She runs to the security panel on her wall and slams her hand on the panic button. Immediately, the alarm starts blaring. It's so loud, you can probably hear it 3 blocks away. Patricia's eyes go wide. "Wait, no, you don't understand. You have exactly 30 seconds to get out of that window before the police get here," I tell her. But here's the beautiful part. She's stuck. She's climbed halfway in, and now she can't figure out how to get back out. She's wiggling and squirming, and the alarm's going off, and my daughter's crying. And I'm standing there with my phone out, recording every single second of this. What happened next? Well, let me tell you. Patricia's problems were just getting started. Okay, I need to take a breath, because just thinking about this makes my blood pressure go up. If you're as shocked as I was, go ahead and hit that like button, and stick around, because the best part, the absolute best part, is still coming up. So Patricia's stuck in my daughter's window. The alarm is screaming, Emma's crying, and I'm recording everything. Patricia's trying to back out of the window now, but she's panicking and just making it worse. "Stop moving," I tell her. "The cops are going to be here any second, and you're going to want to explain to them why you're breaking into my house." "This isn't breaking and entering," she shouts over the alarm. "I have a right to inspect properties for HOA violations." "Oh, do you have a right to climb through windows?" I shoot back. "Because I'm pretty sure that's called burglary." She finally manages to wiggle backward out of the window and drops onto the ground outside. Through the window, I can see her standing there, brushing off her clothes, trying to compose herself like she didn't just commit a felony. I rush over to Emma, who's sobbing. "It's okay, baby. It's okay. The bad lady's gone. You did exactly right, hitting that button. You were so brave." I'm hugging my daughter, trying to calm her down, when I hear sirens. The police response time in our neighborhood is usually about 3 to 5 minutes. But since it was a panic alarm from a residential address, they must have hauled ass because they got there in 2 minutes flat. I look out Emma's window and see Patricia trying to walk away like nothing happened. But 2 police cruisers are pulling up, blocking her path. "Emma, stay here, sweetie. Lock this window and don't open it for anyone but me, okay?" She nods, still sniffling, and I book it downstairs and out the front door. By the time I get outside, one officer is talking to Patricia, and another is walking toward me. "Sir, we got a panic alarm from this address. Is everything all right?" And this is where I get to say the sentence I've been dreaming of saying for months. "Officers, I'd like to report a break-in. That woman," I point at Patricia, "just climbed through my daughter's bedroom window without permission." Patricia's head whips around. "That's not what happened. I was conducting an HOA inspection." The officer talking to me raises an eyebrow. "An HOA inspection, through a bedroom window." "I have it all on video," I say, pulling out my phone, the whole thing. Her walking around my property, climbing in the window, everything. I show the cops the video. The security footage is crystal clear. Patricia looking around to make sure no one's watching, opening the window, climbing inside. It's textbook breaking and entering. The officer watching the video's face goes from neutral to seriously concerned. "Ma'am," he says to Patricia, "I'm gonna need you to put your hands behind your back." Patricia's face goes pale. "What? No, you don't understand. This is an HOA matter, ma'am. The HOA doesn't give you the right to enter someone's private property through a window," the officer says. "That's burglary. But I'm the HOA president," Patricia sputters. "I don't care if you're the president of the United States," the cop says. "You can't climb through people's windows." They put her in handcuffs. They actually arrest her right there in my front yard. My neighbors are coming out of their houses. People are watching. Patricia's screaming about how this is all a misunderstanding, how she's going to sue me, how I'm going to regret this. But I'm not done. "Oh no, this is my moment. Officers," I say, "there's something else you should know. I have reason to believe she's been embezzling money from the Patricia's head snaps toward me. "That's a lie. I have documentation," I continue calmly. "Financial records showing significant discrepancies. I've already contacted a real estate attorney about it." One of the officers looks at Patricia. "Ma'am, is there anything you want to tell us?" Patricia's lawyer probably would have told her to keep her mouth shut. But Patricia's not thinking straight. She's furious, she's embarrassed, and she's been caught, literally, red-handed. "So what if I took a little money?" she shouts. "Do you know how much work it is, being HOA president? Do you know how many hours I put in? I deserve that money. These people are impossible. They break rules constantly. Someone has to keep this neighborhood from turning into a slum." The officers exchange a look. Patricia just confessed to embezzlement in front of witnesses. "Ma'am," the officer says, "you have the right to remain silent. I strongly suggest you use it." But the damage is done. They put Patricia in the back of the police cruiser. The officer takes my statement, gets copies of my security footage, and takes down the contact information for my attorney and the other neighbors who've been documenting Patricia's behavior. As they're about to leave, the officer hands me his card. Someone from the detective division will be in touch about the embezzlement allegations. In the meantime, you might want to get a restraining order. I watch as they drive away with Patricia in the back seat, and I'm not gonna lie, it felt good. After months of harassment, of stress, of this woman making my family's life hell, she finally got what was coming to her. But you know what? The story doesn't end there. Because what happened next actually made everything even better. Within an hour of Patricia's arrest, my phone starts blowing up. Mike, Jennifer, Tom, Linda, everyone from the Patricia Problems Committee is calling me. The news has spread through the neighborhood like wildfire. But here's what I didn't expect. Other neighbors start reaching out. People I barely knew. They're all saying the same thing. Patricia's been harassing us too. She fined us for bogus violations. She threatened to put a lien on our house. By that evening, I've got a list of 23 households that Patricia has targeted. 23 out of 47 houses. That's almost half the neighborhood. The next day, my attorney calls. The police have searched Patricia's HOA records. All the financial documents, all the emails, everything. And it's worse than we thought. Over the past 2 years, Patricia embezzled over $47,000 from the HOA. She'd been writing checks to fake vendors, landscaping companies that didn't exist, maintenance services that were never performed. She'd forge invoices and then deposit the checks into her personal account. But here's the truly insane part. The reason she was so obsessed with fining everyone, she was pocketing those fines too. They were supposed to go back into the HOA reserve fund, but she'd been keeping them. My potential $3,000 in fines. That was going straight into her pocket. The attorney tells me that Patricia's being charged with burglary, criminal trespassing, embezzlement, fraud, and about 6 other things. She's looking at serious prison time, if convicted. Fast forward 3 weeks. The HOA holds an emergency meeting. First one, Patricia isn't running in 2 years. There are TV news cameras outside, because the local news picked up the story. HOA president arrested for climbing through window was apparently too good a headline to pass up. At the meeting, the remaining board members who claimed they had no idea what Patricia was doing, which I have my doubts, but whatever, they announced Patricia's resignation. They also announced that all of her fines and violations are being voided. Everyone who paid fines is getting refunded. The board votes to completely overhaul the HOA rules. They establish actual oversight for the board members. They require regular financial audits. They create a process for residents to appeal violations. Basically, they implement everything that should have been in place from the beginning, but wasn't, because Patricia wanted to run the HOA like her personal fiefdom. My blue-gray door, officially approved. In writing, multiple times. They actually put it in the newsletter as an example of an acceptable color. But here's my favorite part. Remember how I said there were 23 households Patricia had targeted? We all get together and file a civil lawsuit against Patricia personally for harassment and emotional distress. Our attorney is confident we'll win and that we'll be able to recover at least some of the embezzled money from Patricia's personal assets. My daughter, Emma, she's doing great. We got her into therapy for a few sessions, just to make sure she processed everything okay. And the therapist said she's resilient as hell. Emma now calls herself the girl who stopped the bad lady, and honestly, I'm proud of her for that. And me, I'm still living in my house with my blue-gray door, and life is peaceful. For the first time in 2 years, the new HOA president is a retired teacher named Mr. Chen, whose actual approach to community management is, get this, reasonable. Weird concept, I know. But wait, there's one more twist that makes this whole thing even crazier. So about a month after Patricia's sentencing, I get a call from a producer at a local news station. Apparently, my story has inspired 3 other neighborhoods in Ohio to investigate their HOA boards for similar issues. They found embezzlement in 2 of them. My case literally sparked a mini-movement of HOA oversight reform in the region. But here's what I learned from all this, and this is important. Document everything. I cannot stress this enough. If I hadn't installed those security cameras, if I hadn't kept detailed records, If I hadn't saved every email and every violation notice, Patricia might have gotten away with it. My word against hers wouldn't have been enough. Also, and this is crucial, stand up for yourself. For months, I thought about just giving in. Repainting the door would have been easier. Paying the fines would have been easier. Moving would have been easier. But I'm so glad I didn't, because it wasn't just about me. Patricia was terrorizing half the neighborhood, and someone needed to put a stop to it. Finally, and I cannot emphasize this enough, HOA presidents are not cops, they're not judges, they're not dictators. They're volunteers managing a community organization, and they have to follow the rules, just like everyone else. Don't let anyone make you feel powerless in your own home. If you're dealing with an HOA nightmare like I was, here's what I want you to do. First, check your state's HOA laws. They're stronger than you think. Second, document everything. Third, talk to your neighbors, because you're probably not alone. And fourth, consider talking to a real estate attorney who specializes in HOA disputes. Many of them do free consultations. And if you found this story helpful or just entertaining, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss future videos. I'm planning to do a whole series on HOA rights and what to do when your HOA oversteps. Drop a comment with your HOA horror stories, or just let me know if you think Patricia got what she deserved. I read every single comment. At the end of the day, this whole situation was absolutely insane. A woman climbed through my kid's window because of a paint color dispute and ended up in prison for embezzlement. You literally cannot make this stuff up. But my blue-gray door is still blue-gray. My family is safe. My neighborhood is finally peaceful. And Patricia learned a very expensive lesson about respecting other people's property and rights. Thanks for watching. And remember, never let a Karen make you feel powerless. You've got rights, you've got resources, and sometimes you've got a security camera that catches them, literally, red-handed. I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe out there, and for the love of God, lock your windows. Peace. As of right now, and this is about 4 months after the window incident, Patricia has pled guilty to most of the charges in exchange for a reduced sentence. She's been sentenced to 3 years in prison and has to pay full restitution to the HOA, plus damages to those of us who sued her. She's also permanently banned from serving on any HOA board in the state of Ohio. They literally made that part of her sentence.